Chapter 9, Abigail the Christian. We learn that after the martyrdom of Stephen, Abigail is left alone. Saul doesn't want anything to do with her anymore because she is the sister of the man whom he hated so much. He couldn't believe himself. From that day on, he started suffering. But then Emmanuel tells us in the first paragraph of this new chapter that Saul is in greater fanaticism. So this is the portrait of what's happening at that time. Saul is given to suggestions of cruel fanaticism. The persecution against the disciples or sympathizers of the way grew much worse. Not only that, but Emmanuel says that inside of Saul there is an all-consuming selfishness. And more than that, selfishness because he envied Stephen's peace of mind. He couldn't believe that a man that had nothing to be glorious about in life was so happy, so composed, so peaceful, and he, the doctor of the law, so faithful to the law of Moses, the law of God in his mind, couldn't find the same composure, couldn't find the same peace of mind. So he decided to fill his heart with hatred and fight for his revenge. Well, in this moment we get to know that he was allowing selfishness and pride, vanity also, in Emmanuel's words, to consume himself. 8 months went by. 8 months. Separated apart from his loved one, Abigail. We give a pause here and propose an exercise. Let's exercise on this. When selfishness and unhealthy pride, ego, postpones our happiness. So, if you are among other people in your group or by yourself, take, a pen or a pencil, a blank piece of paper, and make a column, a list of circumstances in which you've experienced in your own life moments in which selfishness and or this ego or unhealthy pride had taken away your best opportunities. Maybe it was a marriage that, just went down, the drain because you couldn't say sorry. Maybe it was a friendship. Maybe it was, a family member, a brother, a sister, father or mother, sometimes someone who has already passed away. And you decided that you didn't have the courage to go there and say, let's reconcile. Meditate on this 1 minute. Well, we can say that for everything, for every journey inside of ourselves, there is, a process. In Saul's mind, he was eaten by this all-consuming selfishness, pride, vanity. But there was a day, Emmanuel describes to us, in which he decides that he's going to go humble himself and go after the woman he loves. It's enough. 8 months had went by. He did. 8 months gone by, and he travels to Joppa. He knocks on Zachariah's door and asks for Abigail. Zachariah doesn't have a happy face. He says, well, I'm sorry to tell you, Saul, but I thought you received our messages. Abigail has fallen ill. And he was surprised. He was shocked. How come? What is her problem? Her lungs. she's ill. Well, can I see her? Sure, please come in. And he comes in. Emmanuel describes that when he sees her, he can see her soul, but her physical appearance is changed. He's very shocked with her resemblance. She's pale. She doesn't look very much alive like she used to be before. And they start talking. It's when he has a second moment, a second wave of shock, when she tells him that she embraced Jesus' teachings. And he asks, how come? Who told you about this? Oh, there was this man who came by our door and he started teaching me. What is his name? Ananias. And Ananias taught it. He taught it, and Saul, now I understand, Stephen. Now I understand that Jesus Christ has come as the promised Messiah. He was speechless at times. Emmanuel describes he didn't know what to say because she was there, ill, and at the same time, he was listening to those things. Well, they exchange vows and promises, and he leaves, promising to come back the next day. But as soon as he wakes up in Jerusalem, someone knocks at his door and says, you must hurry up, Saul, because Abigail is not doing well. He rushes to Joppa and goes straight to her bedroom. She is at her deathbed. And what happens then? One of the most beautiful dialogues, because he's still believing that he's going to revive her life, revitalize her so they can get married and have a family, and he could start his life all over again. And he inside had this plan that not now, he wouldn't tell anything against this Jesus, but he would, as soon as they get married, he would not allow any of those in his life. And he says, it can't be possible. And she says, with certain difficulty, don't weep, Saul. Death is not the end of it all. And he says, dissolved in tears, I want you with me for the rest of my life. And she replies, yet, and yet, we must die in order to truly live. And the continuing dialogue goes to a point where he asks, who gave you such ideas? And this is when we learn about the influence of the good spirits. Last night, after you left, Saul, I felt someone approach me. Filling the room with light, Jeziel had come to me. When I saw him, I embraced Jesus in the ineffable mystery of his resurrection. Jeziel told me that God had indeed sanctified our dreams of blessedness, but I would be taken this very day to the spirit world. He taught me to break the selfishness of my soul. He filled me with courage and brought me the good news that Jesus loves you very much and has great hopes for you. She continues on explaining until she closes her eyes. Saul is desperate, Emmanuel describes, and cries out, Abigail, Abigail, but then she's gone. He's left to himself meditating on this beautiful teaching of selflessness. In the spirit realm, she was taught that she should give up because there was a greater plan for all of them, and she did. Now, the question, what about us? Can we also do the same? Get rid of the selfishness and pride inside of us. Let us prepare for the next chapter, chapter 10.